Thank you. Let me just thank the ASUC. This is my first time before this august body, and gotta say I'm just wowed by the energy and the excitement in this room. I mean, this is it's a stunning thing, I mean, faculty meetings sometimes get a little lively, but nothing like this. This is great. So I'm a professor in the law school. No snapping. The snapping thing is pretty cool. So I'm a professor in the law school. I also teach in the undergraduate legal studies program. I also teach we have a PhD program. I do mostly philosophy. I teach an undergraduate theories of justice class. I teach a law class in criminal law and international law. And this year has brought a lot of those different issues about justice, distributive justice, issues about punishment, issues about repair and diplomacy to bear in a way that I didn't expect. I was asked to talk a little bit about what shared governance means, and that's what I'm going to talk about because it's not an easy thing. It requires thinking in philosophical terms, in law terms, and in sort of diplomatic terms as well. I think it was Senator Boone who announced earlier the suspension of shared governance on July 17th. I think that was overstated. I took your point, but I think it was overstated. If you look, shared governance is actually, I don't know if it's uniquely claimed. I think other institutions in the United States will claim shared governance, but I think it's uniquely held by the University of California. And at Berkeley, it's an especially dear and important tradition that manifests itself in a lot of important ways. But it's a kind of protean concept. If you look at an organization chart of the university, it's a little depressing. The faculty, well, depends on your point of view, but the faculty has very limited decisional authority, very limited control over areas where we say what happens. Those areas include approval of courses, to the unending frustration of most of our fellow colleagues who have to submit their courses for approval to the faculty senate. It includes deciding on the eligibility criteria, not the admissions quotas, but the eligibility criteria for students entering into the University of California and for degree requirements. Beyond that, for the most part, the authority of the faculty is a right to be consulted and a right to advise the chancellor or the chancellor's delegates, the vice chancellor, and so on. This is true at the campus level. At the system-wide level, there's a sort of parallel organization of the senates with similar rights to be consulted and to advise the office of the president. What this means in terms of the organizational chart is that at the end of the day, what the president decides what happens. We have a right to be notified about what's going to happen. We have a right to kibitz and to try to affect the outcome, but we don't get to decide matters. If we look at it strictly as an organizational chart, as a principle, we look like losers. We look pathetic. We look like we can, at best, window dress a decision that's been made above. We can, as faculty, accept that situation. It is possible. It's what most faculties in most institutions around the country do. Most faculties are able to get the ear of the president, and sometimes they approve and sometimes they disapprove, and it doesn't matter. But what shared governance actually means is nothing to do with this organizational chart. It's how we use this very protean idea that we should be consulted and advised. It's how we engage in this dialogue. When I went to law school, I had a very good professor who said there was one book you should read. It's not a book about law. It's a book put out by something called the Harvard Negotiations Project, and it's a book called Getting to Yes. I think it's still in print. It's actually quite a good book. What that book is about, the book Getting to Yes is about, is how to get what you want, how to reach an outcome that you want when you are bargaining from a position of unequal strength, when you don't have a line of authority before you, when you don't have a bigger gun, when you don't have some kind of threat, when screaming at somebody isn't going to make it work. What that book is about is finding common ground. It's about figuring out how to move people to see the righteousness, the validity, the power, the force of your position. And what we as faculty have been able to do, it's an accretive process, but what we've been able to do over the decades in which we've engaged in this role is by and large to get to yes, have significant influence on outcomes, not all the time, but a lot of the time, through the techniques of gentle persuasion, through presenting facts, through making arguments of principle, through trying to show the consequences of what can happen. That's what shared governance tends to mean in this university. It means that you get the opportunity to be heard and you can make the most of it. It doesn't mean you have a right to be listened to. We lost on an issue that was deeply important to many faculty, which was that we thought that the consequences of the furlough decision should be visible in canceled teaching days. This was not because faculty don't want to teach. This was not because we don't love our students. It's because we wanted the state to know that they are shortchanging you. We lost on that. The Office of the President listened hard, I think, and overruled us. That, I think, was probably the part of the July 17th event. But we did get quite a lot. We got things that are probably of less interest in this room, but we got for faculty who were soon to retire, we got protection of their retirement plans. We got a variety of other accommodations in the way in which the furlough decision went down. We didn't get the main piece of it. That was terrible. We were not even consulted about the scale of the budget cuts. That was terrible. What we need to do, and this is the second piece of shared governance, when you don't have decisional authority, you bob and weave and you keep your eye on the longer term. We need to keep coming back. We need to focus on the long-term issue. You heard it seemed like quite an impressive and quite lengthy disquisition by A.B.C. Williams about how the reality now is that the money is not coming back. This is, I think, the new now, she said. That's the reality. I think in the short term, she's probably right. The budget outlook for California is extremely poor. There are a lot of other desperately needy causes that have gone begging this year, sick children, the elderly, and so on. But in the long term, that is so wrong. Just to steal one of the beautiful lines from the president's speech last week, we did not come here to fear reality. We came here to shape reality. And what Professor Lakoff just said is absolutely correct. This is something that cannot be done in this room. It needs to be done outside. Not necessarily on Sproul Plaza either. That might be a venue for it, but it needs to be done in your homes, in the homes of your neighbors, in the homes of your employers, in the conversations you have with all the citizens in California around you. The reality we're talking about is nothing more than a legal artifact. It is a constitutional provision, Proposition 13. It's a constitutional system. I have fantasies of a Velvet Revolution, of us all marching to the lawn in Sacramento and demanding that this Constitution be changed. That can happen short-term or long-term, and you are the ones to do it. Keep your eye on the long term. Use the powers of persuasion, the powers of rational reflection and argument that you've been given at this great institution, and that's how shared governance, shared with you, will happen. Thank you very much.